Jill on the mic. It's about to get real. Keep it live, that's right. From Pennsylvania to across the globe, it's time for the Steelers All-Star Show.
Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James Strong, joined once again by my co-hosts Cody Tanner and Nick Pretzel. Unfortunately, Jill couldn't make it with us this morning, but happy birthday, Jill. She had a birthday yesterday. Don't know what year. We're not going to ask. That's a lady's information. You don't ask how old they are. That's rude. Cody, how are you this Saturday morning?
Yeah, Saturday prep game is tomorrow against the Bears. I'm doing well. I'm excited for a lot of things in life, and the Steelers potentially making a playoff run. That's our goal eventually. But doing well. Also, hunting season's around the corner. Thanksgiving's here. All the holiday season. Time to get festive. Nick, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. As you mentioned, the holiday season is approaching. That includes for me deer season as well. So fall is my favorite time of year. I may or may not be a little absent from the podcast for the next coming weeks as I'm chasing animals through the woods. But very excited for some Steelers football. As my tag down here mentions, also celebrating Father's Day for Aaron Rodgers because he owns the Chicago Bears. So we'll see if he plays or not in this show. We'll discuss that. But James, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well this morning, and it's one of those celebratory mornings. So there we are. Blue slushy flavor. That's one of Jill's favorites. I'm sure she'd be drinking one of those if she was feeling a little better this morning.
I got nothing to drink.
My bubbler, it's a energizing boost twisted elixir.
Non-sponsor, I must add, non-sponsor.
Non-sponsor.
But if you want to, we're here.
We are. Let us know. DM us. Speaking of DMing us and talking to us and whatever social media, we do want to take a quick moment. If you're listening to the audio version, obviously right now, you've probably heard 2 or 3 ads. If you're watching on YouTube, surprise. We did get the blessing and the opportunity recently to get some ad revenue and ad stuff that's going on Podbean, which is on all the audio versions of the app. So you'll hear it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to podcasts, you'll have those ads. We want to take a quick second. And first off, thank you guys for the 5-star reviews and the likes and the reposts and the shares. Everything that you guys have been doing across social media has helped a lot. And we are also asking politely to keep it going, revamp, do some more. If you haven't commented on a YouTube video, or if you haven't liked and subscribed on Podbean or Apple Podcasts or wherever you could listen to audio, please do that. The comments on YouTube help. The shares on social media help. We're really trying to grow this podcast and to get those 5-star reviews in Apple Podcasts. James is talking about that right now. That's his favorite thing. Because it does help us grow our podcast, grow our Steelers by the Lake family. This was a thing that started off, 7 years ago now. James and I started this, and it's been an awesome journey ever since. We've now obviously brought in Jill and Nick, who are full-time people here and hosts and co-hosts, and we love to talk Steelers with you guys, bring you guys the best up-to-date news, and share our opinions, our thoughts, and like to get you guys involved in that as well. So first off, thank you. And second off, please continue. James, anything else?
On top of that, just thank you for listening too, because that also bolsters the show, bolsters our ability to be able to be on here talking to you about these things, because that supports this platform. We're able to then bring this to you by the support you give to us. So, and it's as simple as listening. We appreciate the shares, we appreciate the follow or the reviews and everything like that. And the listening is also a huge support. So please keep listening to us. Please share your thoughts, as Cody said, because we'd love to shout it out on the show. If you get something right and we win a game and one of your keys to success is there, we'll happily be like, hey, check out listener number 123 down here and their accurate score prediction or their accurate key to success. Didn't mean to jump you there, James, but just wanted to throw that out there.
No, you're good. Same exact thought as what I had going on. Those 5-star reviews help more than folks realize. So when you're looking for a new podcast, what do? You look at the reviews, kind of like if you're shopping for a TV, you're shopping for a refrigerator or whatever. You go to the website that you're looking for, you look at the reviews. If the reviews are good, you give that one a chance. If the reviews suck, you're not going to give them a chance. So those reviews help us out more than you realize, and we appreciate every single one of you. And the most recent one once again, Dylan, we appreciate that very nice review that you wrote for us on Apple Podcast.
Yeah. We don't mean to slam the beginning of this show with ads, but we're going to take a quick moment to thank our sponsor as well, personal sponsor, Edinburgh Hotel Bar.
Supporters of Steelers by the Lake include the Edinburgh Hotel Bar at 100 Meadville Street in downtown Edinburgh, providing a variety of lunch and dinner items every day, along with full-service catering and private party accommodations. Details are available at 814-734-5103 or online at edinburghhotelbar.com.
Edinburgh Hotel Bar is a great place. That's where I was at last week for the game. Great time. Pat is an awesome dude. The owner there. We'll get him on the show sometime this year. I'm excited for that as well. But now it's time. Let's jump into this, James. We got and Nick, sorry. All the Steelers things happening, all the stuff. We're going to talk obviously some roster moves and some things that typically happen before the game, and then we'll get down to the injury breakdown, depth chart breakdown for the Bears, and then we'll talk about our 2 keys to success in going out of Soldier Field with a win. And then we'll give our score predictions as well, which we also have those 2 things from Jill also that we will share. So let's dive right into it. Steelers sign John Rhys Plumlee to the practice squad and cut D-back Jack Henderson. That didn't last long. He wasn't gone long.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is more important than just signing a guy that's got some quarterback experience who's more of a wide receiver these days. He was literally brought in to run the scout team offense.
Yep.
So with Caleb Williams being a mobile quarterback, and then what do we have coming up in the future games here? We've got Josh Allen. We have Lamar Jackson. You need somebody who can simulate that and practice effectively, and that's exactly what John Rhys Plumlee was brought in to do. So he is the quarterback for the scout team right now. Typically something you would have the 3rd-string quarterback on the roster do, but it's just not something that Will Howard can give them an accurate look at. He's just not that kind of athlete as to where John Rhys Plumlee ran a 4.55 40 when he came out. So he's plenty quick enough and elusive enough to show people what they would get, what to expect out of this guy. So an important role for him, an important opportunity for him to just be a valuable member of the practice squad. And when you're hanging around, you get other opportunities once in a while. So you never know. Maybe he'll get an opportunity to try to make the team again next year after being a significant part of the practice squad right now.
Yep. We would absolutely love that. And then the DB Jack Henderson is just a casualty to that move.
Absolutely.
That's all that is.
Mhm.
LC Greenwood is one of 7 semifinalists for the senior nominee of the Hall of Fame. Originally was 162, if I'm not mistaken. Wild numbers.
9 semifinalists now, not 7.
9.
So I wrote a little bit sloppily there. Tough for these guys to read my handwriting sometimes. So, but big thing for him, honestly. LC's been a semifinalist, I believe, before. But when you go from 162 all the way down to 9, he's got a significant chance. There's usually one senior member that goes in every year, assuming that they get enough votes. LC Greenwood, one of the few significant standouts from the 70s team who has not been in the Hall of Fame quite yet. So I think he's got a chance. We'll see how this goes with the other finalists. I believe, what was it, David DeCastro this year was the new one, or was it Marquise Pouncey?
I think DeCastro was no, it would have been Pouncey.
It's Pouncey, yeah. Yeah, so Pouncey is the first active guy to probably have a significant push this year too. So we'll see how that all plays out for him. But if you haven't seen any 70s film and you're unfamiliar with his game, LC Greenwood played defensive end for the Steelers on that vaunted steel curtain defense. He was the guy with the gold cleats. And he said that he switched to gold cleats because he was sick of other guys getting credit for his tackles. So he wanted people to be easily pick him out of the pile when he got tackles and sacks and made plays. So he got gold cleats so that you knew exactly who it was when he made the play.
Yeah. And that if LC Greenwood goes in, I mean, that makes that already historically great defense that much greater to add another Hall of Famer onto that. So that would be huge for that team. This one is going to be a fun one to talk about. Darnell Washington on the St. Brown, which is Amon-Ra and his brother. I don't remember his brother's name.
Equimenius.
Yeah, that's the name. Darnell Washington was invited onto their podcast, and he admitted that he's not 265 pounds anymore. He's 311. So everyone's always joked about his weight, especially us on here. He is well over his weigh-in at the combine. So
impressive to be able to put that much weight on and still not look sloppy. I mean, you can tell he's not 265 anymore. He's a thick boy now, right? But he still moves decent. I would be very curious to see how well he moves at like 285, 290, because I feel like he wouldn't really sacrifice much in the line of strength at all, and would be a step or two quicker, which would make him very, very dangerous. But man, he has been an exciting player to watch the last few weeks, and the potential's always been there, and it seems like Pittsburgh's really starting to figure out how good of a weapon they really have. And man, his listed playing weight, if it were 311, would be the same as Broderick Jones, who he lines up right next to at tackle sometimes. Just crazy.
He's a bulldozer. You have an offensive lineman out there catching passes and then stiff arming a guy halfway down the field. So it's a really nice thing to be able to have when he moves that well still. And you're right, James, it would be interesting to see what he could do at a slightly lower weight if he still had that play strength. But
and he was
love where he's at right now too, though.
And he was even talked about recently on the Pat McAfee show. So shout out to that show. Pat McAfee, I believe it was on Thursday's show, was talking about Pittsburgh bringing out a sixth lineman in the name of Darnell Washington. And I almost wanted to like call in or comment and request, like, no, he's the seventh lineman. We bring out another one first. And processing that.
Yeah.
And so they were also talking about on the show, potentially, does Darnell have a future after playing tight end as a tackle? Is that a transition that he can make? Everyone talks about Alejandro Villanueva from going on the defensive side of the ball with Philly to then us bringing him in and transitioning him to a tackle. Does Darnell have that potential? I think he would have to learn a lot with the footwork, but I think the opportunity's there for him.
And he at least does some of that now as far as pass protection and run blocking now.
Yep.
So you see a good, significant baseline work. It was a little bit more of a stretch with Villanueva because in college he played wide receiver and tight end. He comes to the pros, tries it out on the defensive side. That doesn't work. Pittsburgh moves him over to offensive tackle, and he ends up with, I believe, 3 Pro Bowls over the course of his career. So he played very well. It's all about adding the correct frame. My only concern for him, if he does decide to do that, and I think he can successfully do that, but I also think there's no point in him doing that until later in his career after he's done being like a peak tight end, however that ends up going for him. I think he'd have to pack on a little bit more weight just to be able to handle a bull rush as well. At his current size, he would be a little bit susceptible to a heavy-handed bull rush. But I think other than that, he'd already represent himself very well.
Yeah. So that would be an exciting thing to talk about. We have unfortunate news for the next topic. Before we get into injuries, this is technically injury related.
Sure.
Corey Trice Jr. is officially out for the season. So we will not be seeing Corey Trice Jr. come back. Very unfortunate. I'm still looking forward to seeing him. Everyone was high praise on him his rookie year, and then he was out the whole year, and now it's just one thing after another, it seems like, for him. So hopefully next year we get a chance to actually see him.
Yeah, and this was exactly the concern on Corey Trice when he came out in the draft, and unfortunately that's why it was 7th round until he was selected. Pittsburgh hasn't seen much return on that investment, but a lot of 7th round picks don't even make the team originally, so at least he's stuck around. When he has been healthy, he's shown enough for them to be willing to keep on holding on to him. They'll bring him to camp most likely again next year. He says he's already planning his comeback for next season. So we've heard this song and dance before, but we'll see. The kid will get a chance. I think there's obviously some turnover in that corner room. There's going to be some possibilities for young guys to step into slots. So hopefully this is the last of it. He can get it behind him and start having some healthy days in his future. But you do have to worry for him and for his own health. I mean, what's he going to look like when he's 35 years old, walking around with all these surgeries on both sides? That's kind of brutal.
Yeah. Let's go. Oh, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say, you got to wonder what his future is going to be in the NFL, even. Obviously, down the line with his personal health, but if he can even make the roster next year when you have younger guys like Dante Kent in the room who are fighting for roster spots, who also have been a little bit injury prone this year, but hoping that young bucks like that can also get a shot, get their opportunities to see what they can do. It's hard to keep trotting a guy out there when it seems almost every time you do, they break. And that doesn't seem fair to those guys, despite the fact that they want to play. Like you almost want to be like, hey, think about yourself and your future.
Yep.
Not just like football isn't everything, as much as we love football and as much as I'm sure these guys love it. It's their bread and butter. It's what they want to do. It's their passion. But at certain points, you have to consider, like, what's this going to be for my life if I keep going out there and keep getting myself injured? Like, I can't stay healthy is something that you gotta consider when having those conversations. I'm sure he does. You never want to see a guy have to step away from something that they're passionate about, but at a certain point, you gotta say to yourself, is this worth what it's going to do to my physicality for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's going to be real opportunity for him next year because you figure there's going to be turnover in the room again. Jalen Ramsey looks to be officially a safety now and not going back. I expect Darius Slay to be one and done in Pittsburgh. So that does create opportunity. You know, Pittsburgh's been running with basically just 4 corners for the last few weeks now. As you mentioned, Dante Kent will be coming back into the fold. I do expect Pittsburgh to dive into the cornerback room once again in this upcoming draft class. How high just depends on what they do beforehand, and partially depends on James Pierre and the rest of his season. If he plays just as well the rest of his season, I would expect him to get an extension, but he's also 29. So you can't really necessarily count on James Pierre being a long-term solution at the position. But maybe for the next 2 or 3 years or so, you might be able to.
Yeah. There's also the chance that I was going to try and pull it up, but I'm not going to waste too much time on it right now. But free agents. I mean, we saw us dive into that veteran pool this offseason. Maybe there's a chance next season they bring in some more veterans in that room as well. But like you said, I am hoping Corey Trice gets a chance to show something. So we will see what happens there. Now bouncing to the actual injuries for the game. I'm going to go over Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll discuss those, and then James will go over the Bears. There's a big list for the Bears and some important key players here. Big ones for Steelers. Alex Highsmith dealing with that pec injury is listed as doubtful. He was limited participation in practice the last 2 days, which is a move in the right direction. Darius Slay dealing with that concussion and non-injury related rest. He fully participated the first 2 days of the week and then limited Friday. He's listed as questionable. Aaron Rodgers is listed as questionable with that left wrist injury. And then you also have Cameron Hayward dealing with an ankle injury. More than likely he tweaked on Friday, and he is listed as questionable. Then you have DK Metcalf, who was a rest. You also have TJ Watt and Jonnu Smith that were listed as rest guys. And then Keyshawn Williams with a concussion, he will play. You'll also have Cole Holcomb. Looks like he's finally back from that illness, so he looks like he's going to play. Jaylen Warren's going to play with the ankle injury. And that sums up. Oh, excuse me. Also, Isaac Seumalo dealing with that pec injury. Didn't participate on Friday, but has no game listing, so I'm expecting him to be a play as well.
Yeah, a few big concerns here, right? The big one, I think, there's 2 huge ones. Obviously, the elephant in the room is how healthy is Aaron Rodgers? Can Aaron Rodgers defend himself on the field? Can he take the impact of a snap going up against his wrist? Because, again, if you're right-handed, the left hand is what's underneath the center's butt. The football comes up, and that's where the impact is on every single snap. You've seen teams in the past go to completely going shotgun. Every single snap being shotgun or some form of it, the pistol sometimes where it's not a full drop back, 2 or 3 steps back. That way you can kind of catch the ball with your right hand instead of the left. It does make you a little predictable. It does allow the other team to tee off on your quarterback because they know he's not going to be under center. He's going to be further back. You know where the launch point is already. So it puts the quarterback a little bit more risk. I worry about him being able to defend himself if he tries to play. Can he play? I'm sure. Aaron can play through about anything. He tried to play last week after he broke it. But should he? I'm in the side of no. I don't think he should. We've seen something similar in the past, and sure, it's a different position, but I'm going to bring this up, and maybe you guys will remember this. Rob Gronkowski, when he was still a New England Patriot, had a break in his forearm. I don't remember if it was right or left. It doesn't really matter. He put a cast on it. He said, I'm going to play anyway. He went out there in the next game. He played, and he broke it worse and missed the rest of the year. This is the kind of thing that you have to be concerned about with a slight break. A slight break doesn't heal in a week. It's even if it's like a hairline fracture, which means it's not going from one end of the bone to the other end of the bone. It's just a small portion of it that has a crack in it, basically. It still needs a good 3-4 weeks to heal properly. Yep. So marching him back out there just because he can handle the pain and discomfort is just not a good move in my book. I get that they're probably going to allow him to dictate this, and if he thinks he can handle it, they'll probably let him do it. But I think, honestly, they should make him sit for at least a couple of weeks before marching him back out there. Because what happens if he has to brace himself going to the ground again? It's going to happen. It's football. You're going to get knocked down. Yep. You're going to have guys attempting to tackle you, and what do? You stiff arm with your left while the ball is in the right. So now you got the impact of a 300-pound man you're trying to hold off with a broken arm. It's just not a good idea in my book in any way. But as much as I'm concerned about that, I'm concerned about Cam Hayward apparently tweaking an ankle on a Friday too. So
yep. Not the worst time to do it other than Sunday.
Not good. Yeah, that's the chances of him being healthy are not very good for this. I could see him just taping it up and playing anyway, but I don't know how effective he'll be.
Well, and that's my struggle with it. I understand these guys want to play, both of them. They're both veterans. They've been around the league a long time. Yeah. They don't like to sit. But don't hurt your team by coming in and trying to push through it. Set your pride aside a little bit and say, all right, like, I want to make sure I'm ready for the rest of the season because it's a tough road ahead. Yeah. We got the Ravens twice. We got Baltimore. Like, it's going to be, or we got Buffalo. The Bills. It's going to be a tough time. And even though the Bills lost on Thursday night to the Texans have the number one defense. Like, we need to be fresh and ready to go after Josh Allen the same way they were able to. Or at least try. And so take the rest.
It wasn't like the Bills weren't in that game either. That game came down to the last couple of plays, and that number one defense for the Texans was turning the ball over like crazy. So they had a number of splash plays, which Pittsburgh has been a little bit reliant on in some of these games. And Allen kept them right in it, even with multiple turnovers, multiple mistakes by that Bills team. And granted, some of those were forced by a very solid defense, which we can have. We have shown that we can have a really solid defense, but it depends, like we were just discussing briefly before the show. Our performance in these next couple of games is going to really depend, especially for this game and that game, on what version of our defense shows up. Are we going to have the splash play, stuffing defense that we had in a couple of the games, or are we going to have the defense that gets dashed all over the field and play soft coverage and lets receivers get the ball and create a bunch of yards after the catch and all that kind of thing? So our defense is really going to be key to how we do in a lot of these upcoming matchups.
Absolutely. It could be a real big opportunity for Y.A. Black. I feel like even if Cam Hayward does dress and does play in this game, you should see an increased role for the next man up, and the next man up in this situation does appear to be Y.A. Black. So I would like to see some more snaps for him in the base defense. I would expect him to be in Cam's position, which would give you a little bit of a look at what the possible future defensive line could be for Pittsburgh with Y.A. Black, Keanu Benton playing very good football these days, and Derek Harmon. That's a massive front unit, man. That's some guys that can move with some great length. Should be very disruptive in the passing game with getting their hands up. I would love for Cam to sit this one out, let that ankle heal up, but I get it. You need every win you can get right now. One thing Pittsburgh can't afford to do is end up with a 7th seed again. End up with a 7th seed and go into Baltimore or go into Buffalo or go into Kansas City or go into one of
Denver at this point.
Yeah, Denver right now. You don't want to go to Denver in the first round of the playoffs. The way you avoid having a tough road matchup is by winning your own division. So got to win as many of them as you can from here on, but you do need your key players to be healthy in this final stretch.
Yep. James, do you want to go over the Chicago Bears lengthy list of injuries?
Absolutely. And I'm not going to hit every single one of these guys here because they got a lot of rest guys, and we're not going to get into quite all of that. But as far as the game status, folks, Jaquan Brisker, who's a safety for them, is questionable with a shoulder injury. He was a full participant on Friday, so I would expect him to play. Their star middle linebacker, Tremaine Edmonds, I should say. That is the brother of Terrell Edmonds, former Pittsburgh Steeler that Cody was such a big fan of. He's giving a thumbs down right now if you're audio only. He was not a fan of Terrell Edmonds. But Tremaine, an excellent middle linebacker, is out with a groin injury, will not play. The other starting linebacker, TJ Edwards, has a hand injury and a hamstring injury, also out for the game. Noah Sewell, another off-ball linebacker for them, elbow injury, out for the game. That's their top three off-ball linebackers right there. They will all be out. Defensive back Kyler Gordon, I believe he plays corner for them, has a calf injury and is questionable with a calf injury. I would not expect him to be 100% speed-wise. So that is a possible thing to take advantage of with some of these younger, faster guys that Pittsburgh has on the roster. Running back Travis Homer with a hamstring and knee is out. Defensive back Jalen Johnson, yes, another corner, groin injury. He's questionable. That affects your change of direction capability for a corner. That's extremely important. Running back Roshan Johnson with a thumb injury is out. Offensive lineman Theo Benedict with a quad is questionable. And there are several other ones here where guys are having injury designations up until Friday, but they're not listing them as a game stats, which just means these guys are all going to play. Going from Darnell Wright, which is the starting left tackle, DeAndre Swift, the starting running back, Tyreek Stevenson, another corner. These guys are all going to be playing. So Drew Dahlman coming off a knee injury. He's playing. He has no injury designation. So, but massive hits for them in the corner room and in the linebacker room, which means some real opportunities with throwing the football in the middle of the field and running the football. These guys are not known for having an elite pass rush. It's a very, very elementary pass rush, really. It rivals the Cincinnati Bengals, where they just don't get after the quarterback well at all. And now their second and third level guys are very, very banged up. So it's a real opportunity. And part of why I'm in the corner of, man, just let Aaron rest for a week and let's see what Mason can do against this defense, because it's not like you're going up against their best guys.
Well, and on top of that, we talked about obviously their linebackers and their cornerbacks, but on offense, their running back room is almost wiped clean. DeAndre Swift is still listed on there, although he's going to play. And then you also have both their starting tackles on that list. I mean, both are going to play, but both are on the list. Mm-hmm. So could be a good day for TJ Watt and Nick Herbig, and potentially even Jack Sawyer if he gets some playing time with Alex Highsmith being more than likely doubtful, not playing. Just could be a very, very big opportunity for these guys to make it easy for the offense, whether Aaron plays or not. Give us some short fields, get some defensive touchdowns, whatever you got to do. I think that our team has a good chance to come. I was worried about this game when I first saw it, and then now looking at the injuries and stuff, because this it feels like a trap game. Going into Chicago, which is sometimes a tough place to play in the sense of the weather. Now Pittsburgh's used to it, so that's a plus. At first I really thought, okay, here we go, trap game. But then I look at this team and I'm like, they are more than injured. They're beat up, they're bruised, they're beat down. Pittsburgh should easily, if they utilize the weak spots now with the linebackers injuries and the cornerback injuries, find a matchup that's favorable to us and just abuse it. Just abuse the living daylights out of it until they have to send help and then go somewhere else. So very, very big list of injuries for those guys.
Yeah, if we go over to the depth chart of the Chicago Bears, the offensive side is where the weapons are all at here, man. They've been scoring points like crazy going against all the teams they've been facing this year. And that's why they have so many wins, right? Yep. They're sitting at 7-3 for a reason. They're a good offensive football team. Just their defensive side is where they're struggling. The quarterback, Caleb Williams, having himself a nice season. a very mobile dude who's got some good accuracy. His weapons he's throwing to Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Luther Burden, the very high draft pick this most recent year, Olamide Zacchaeus. There's some very talented wide receivers. Oh, wait, we're not done. The tight end room, Cole Kmet and Colson Loveland, both listed as starters. They're in a very similar situation to Pittsburgh, where they're listing multiple tight ends as starters. Both of these guys can hurt you. Colston Loveland, very effective stretching the field, a very vertical type receiving tight end. Cole Kmet can do it all. He's a blocker, he's a receiver, he's everything. The running back room, DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai having some very serious success this year running the football. So you really have weapons in all of the skill position units here in an offensive line, probably a little bit better than they've had for a while. The tackles, left tackle Theo Benedict, right tackle Darnell Wright, again Darnell being a former first-round pick. Guards Joe Thuney at one side, Joe Thuney I should say, it's not Thuney. Jonah Jackson on the other side, and Drew Dahlman at center. This is the revamped offensive line. They went in and brought all three of these guys in this offseason to shore up that offensive line. It appears to have worked. They're running the ball well. They're passing the ball even better. So you better be on your A game defensively, or these guys will put up a bunch of points on you. They've been doing it against people left and right. The last few weeks, they've been pulling out last-second victories versus their opponents. Not because the other teams are the worst teams in the league. It's because these guys have a lot of weapons, and they can move it right down the field in a very short amount of time on you.
Yep. It's going to be very interesting. I think the big things, obviously, on that offense is going to be the passing game. I think that obviously we're scared of the running game. I think this is the one game I think Pittsburgh will figure it out, especially with those both tackles being on that injury list. I'm more worried about what Caleb Williams can do with his feet than DeAndre Swift at this point. So keep an eye on that. And then looking over at the defensive side of the ball, their defensive front. So they run a 4, I believe they run a 4-3, which is odd. Because they only have 2 linebackers listed. I think they have like their nickel defense listed here.
Yeah, basically what it is.
Yeah. So their D line consists of Montez Sweat, formerly, I believe, a first-round pick. Very good player. I might be wrong on that. Grady.
So he's a high pick. He was first or
was
second.
He?
So you're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Grady Jarrett also on that D line. Gervon Dexter Sr. and Austin Booker. Again, Montez Sweat and Grady Jarrett are the 2 scariest guys on that D line, and they're not even that scary right now. Then you have the linebackers. Their starters, all 3 are injured. They're not playing. So you have Amen Ogabadindabiga. That was my best effort. So sorry. Ruben.
We're sorry. We apologize if you're listening.
Ruben Hypolite II and DeMarco Jackson. I mean, those are going to be their guys, which is just crazy. So hopefully Pittsburgh can pick apart that linebacker crew. And then you have the secondary with the cornerbacks, CJ Gardner Johnson. I think he's going to play?
He's their nickel corner. Yeah,
okay.
He's not on the injury list, so he should be playing.
Tyreek Stevenson is listed on the injury list, but I think he's going to play. Nashawn Wright is going to play. Jalen Jones is a backup corner, also listed on that injury list. And then you have the safeties, Jaquan Brisker, also on the injury list. And then you have Kevin Byard III. Their secondary, if their starting linebackers were in, I would say that's a strength. But in this game, their safeties are going to be the strongest thing they have. And so Pittsburgh has a really good chance of taking apart this defense.
So here's why this game worries me. And here's also why it doesn't worry me on the 2 sides of the same coin. This team is the Bengals of the NFC because they have a very potent offense and they have a defense that can't really stop much. And if you look at their record, they're sitting at 7-3. Their losses came to Minnesota, Detroit, and Baltimore. Their wins came against Dallas, Vegas, Washington, New Orleans, Cincinnati, and the Giants. Not a very solid list of well, there goes my iPhone.
And Minnesota last week.
And Minnesota last week. Not the most impressive list of teams that you beat. And a lot of those are 25-24, 25-24, 47-42. So it's like a lot of these are tight matchups, which Pittsburgh tends to thrive in.
Yep.
So again, it really comes down to which version of our defense are we getting? Are we getting the version of the defense that played the Bengals soft and let all those big name guys do big name guy things, which is kind of similar to what we have facing this week with the list of guys that we just mentioned in the wide receiver room and the tight end room and the running back room? Or are we going to have the group that locked those guys down and made them look a little silly the second time we played them? Jamar Chase looked very silly, and now he's suspended for a game because he decided to spit on Jalen Ramsey. So which version of this defense are we going to have against a team that's very similar to a division opponent that we played who doesn't have that divisional knowledge of us? However, I mean, there is the storyline of we haven't won in Soldier Field since 1995, but Aaron Rodgers also has owned the Bears for most of his career. So we have conflicting notions here. So we'll see what happens. We have a good offense, a interesting defense. If we can attack them at their strengths and eliminate their strengths, kind of like we do with the second matchup with the Bengals, I think we'll have a good game. But if we allow them to just kind of run all over us like we did in the first matchup with the Bengals, we'll see what happens. But in my opinion, the Bears are the Bengals of the NFC.
I can see the similarities there, absolutely, and that would make you think this could be a real shootout, right? Some definite weaknesses on both teams as far as some defensive stuff. I think a little more so on the weaknesses of the Bears defense, but that's a potent offense, man. No way around it.
Yeah. It's time. Let's go to our keys to success. We're gonna first
Not time.
Oh, sorry, special teams.
Talk special teams.
I'm so sorry. Okay,
Special players.
kicker, Cairo Santos. Kicker, Cairo Santos. He's a kicker. He's for the Bears. Just saying. Punter, Tory Taylor. The kick, the kickoff is also Cairo Santos. The holder,
Still Cairo,
whatever. Tory Taylor. Long snapper, Scott Daly. Because those matter too. And then kickoff return and punt return is Devin Duvernay. And then you also have Josh Blackwell back there on kick returns as well. Duvernay used to be a threat, I felt like. I don't think he's done much this year.
Yeah.
But we'll keep an eye on that. The new kickoff thing makes some guys that used to be explosive less explosive, and some guys that couldn't do a thing in the past, now they can do everything. So very interesting breakdown of that. But special teams doesn't matter. All right, now it's time for the keys to success. And we're going to share Jill's first because she's not here. So number one, she said we need to continue to establish the run game, at least 100 yards rushing. This game, we're averaging 88 per game, but last week's victory had over 100 yards rushing, which is why she's saying it again for this week. So that's her first one, 100 yards rushing. Give James some time to write that.
No, you're good. I'm writing it down. Yeah.
Okay, number two, winning the turnover battle. Bears have 20 plus turnovers this season with something like 14 or 15 interceptions. Our offense needs to control the ball when it's in our possession, and our defense needs to strip it away. I'd like to see us win turnover battle by at least one, meaning if Chicago gets 2, we get 3, or ideally they have 0, we have 1. So that is her goal for us.
Awesome. So who wants to go first out of the three of us on your keys for the game?
I guess it'll be me because I clicked the button and I knew that was going to happen.
So you go first.
My first key to success is going to be getting the tight ends heavily involved again. We've seen Pat Freiermuth get involved. We've seen Darnell get involved now, Mount Washington. And Johnny's been kind of quiet. Tight end room as a whole, not including Connor Hayward, for those that need the disclaimer. I want the tight end room to have 100 yards receiving in this game. I don't care if it comes off 2 receptions. I don't care if it comes off 20. Well, I kind of care about that point, but that's still what, 5 yards of reception. I want to see us have 100 yards receiving out of that tight end group. And I'm hoping they can actually blow that out of the water. So that's my first key to success.
Great game for it, I think. So going with the turnover theme here, I'm going to say into tomorrow's game, Pittsburgh needs to force at least 2 fumbles on Caleb Williams. One thing that's been a very big focus this week, and the reason they brought John Reyes Plumlee in is that when Caleb Williams scrambles and rolls out of the pocket, he has a habit of dropping the ball down by his waist. When doing so, that makes him very susceptible to the ball getting knocked loose because he doesn't have both hands on the ball anymore. So opportunity will be there. He will scramble. He is one of the highest time to release. It's like 3.2 seconds or something from when the ball snapped him to when he actually throws the football. I want to see Pittsburgh strip that ball from him at least twice in this game.
I love that, James. I love that a lot. I think Cody put himself first this time because he knew I was going to the tight end room. So they say something about great minds. But I'm going to go with my first key to success to limiting their run game. I do not want to see I want their leading rusher to have less than 40 rushing yards. In most of the games where they lost, it was around that number. Unless, of course, you're counting the fact that one of the games they lost, Caleb Williams had 58 rushing yards, but I don't want to see above 40 rushing yards from any given rusher on the Bears team. That even in the games that were close, that they won by a point or two or a score or two, those numbers were very low. So if we can keep their run game down, I think we're going to be able to do a really solid job. And since I still kind of want to go tight ends, I also want to say I don't want their tight ends getting very involved. So I want to make sure that neither Cole Kmet nor Colston Loveland are the leading receiver in terms of receptions or yards. So as long as we keep those guys down on that list, I have a feeling we're going to have a pretty good game, because looking down this depth chart, Kmet and Loveland accounted for two of their bigger games in some of their wins. So really want to keep those guys down the depth chart. Adunze also having a really solid season, but would really like to see the tight ends be lower in terms of receptions and yards.
I like it.
That brings it back to me for my second one. And I think today my next one is going to be to protect our quarterback. Whichever one it ends up being, or if it's both of them, I would prefer to see Mason and let Aaron rest a little bit more. I want to see no more than one sack allowed in this game. Keep them upright, keep them confident, allow them to get through their progressions. It's very important that our quarterbacks establish some sense of rhythm and confidence going into this last portion of the season here. So no more than one sack allowed by the Steelers offense in this game.
I like it a lot. My last key to success is going to be, honestly, probably third downs. I want to see Pittsburgh convert a high rate of third downs, and I'm going to challenge them that the defense is – this defense is hurt. This defense is very hurt. So I'm going to say 85% third down conversion. I honestly think I want them to do 100, but I think if we get 85% and keep some drives going, get our defense some time to rest, I think that'll really benefit the team overall. So let's bounce it over to score predictions and go backwards. Actually, I guess we should share Jill's first, right?
Yeah,
I got you. Jill's score prediction on this one, and we're going back to I'm doing the simulation of the hair thing here. Jill's going 24-21 with the Bears. The Bears getting the win. She's a little bit concerned about it. She says she hopes she's wrong, but we break another ugly historical losing stat. Haven't won in the Chicago since 1995. So Jill's going Bears.
I was looking around for my terrible tell as well, so I could match you on the emulating Jill here as best we can, because fortunately none of us are quite as pretty, but we try. But in other news, I'm kind of thinking a similar vein of Jill. I think that it's going to be a difficult matchup. I already mentioned how I think they're the Bengals of the NFC. So I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I'm having it at 42-41 Bears.
Interesting.
Hope the Steelers prove me wrong, but with this high-powered offense being in a similar fashion to having all these weapons out there, you got DJ Moore, who has been having a quiet year. You've got Cole Kmet. You've got Colston Loveland, you've got Roma Dunze, Luther Burden. It's hard to see a hole in this offense, especially with head coach Ben Johnson in his first year there being an offensive guru as well. So it'll be interesting to see. I hope we can keep them much lower than that. But I'm putting that out there. We'll see how it goes.
I like it.
All right, I'm going to go kind of in between these two here. I think Pittsburgh's going to have some success, as they should, versus this defense. And I like what Pittsburgh's trending with their own defense. They're doing a little better job the last few weeks clamping down some of these high-profile offenses, especially last week. I mean, that's the worst game Joe Flacco's had all season, back to being a Cleveland Brown anyway. Less than 200 yards passing last week from that offense, getting them so frustrated that they're willing to pick fights and spit on people. That's a real good sign for how awesome the corners played in that game and how stifling they were in coverage. So I'm going to say Pittsburgh slows down this high-powered Chicago Bears offense, and we get a 27-20 Pittsburgh Steelers victory in Chicago, breaking this streak of not having won there in the last 30 years.
Very nice. Very
Prove
nice.
James right. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, and I'm going to kind of stick with James on this one. I do think I'm hoping, and every time I do this, it bites me in the butt. So I'm hoping Pittsburgh's getting things going. And it's been really frustrating to watch the defense score points and the offense not struggle, but not move the ball as well as I think they could. But I am going to go with 31-21 victory for the Steelers here in this one. I at first, for a little bit, I thought it was going to be a low-scoring game, and then I look at that defensive injury list they have, and there's no reason Pittsburgh shouldn't be able to move the ball down the field on that defense. So 31-21. If you guys have your keys to success or score predictions, you guys are welcome to share them in the comments or DM us on any social media platform. We would love to share your thoughts if they happen to hit, or if we see something that's just like, if you have a bold stat or just a crazy stat that we missed or didn't go over or whatever, we'd love to talk about on the show. Feel free to share it with us. We can't thank you guys enough for listening. Be sure to like and follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe, ring the bell. It's free. It doesn't cost you a thing. Comment, interact, share, engage. And don't forget the 5-star freaking reviews. They make James Strong here very happy. And until next time, this is your host, James, Cody, and Nick Pretzel, signing off.
Peace.